Welcome back to the farm, everyone. Yes, I know, I've got a problem. I can't help myself. Got a bit of a tillage addiction. The ground is just so close to being dry. We've got a rain chance moving in tonight and then continued rain after that for the next week. So I'm trying to just test the waters a little bit to see if we can plant some soybeans again here before we lose all of our opportunities in March. The chances of this being successful are slim. I just can't really rule it out entirely without scratching the dirt and seeing what it looks like. That looks pretty wet. It's not really muddy, there's just a lot of moisture. It's kind of damp. Right there's a perfect example. These cool, damp, wet stalks are dragging up here on the harrow. So I don't think we've had the sunshine to really accomplish anything yet today. I knew better than to try, but I wanted to see. I need two hands. The cultivator's having a hard time processing the trash. The positive part is that you can't see where the tractor's driven. I usually refer to that as the tractor's tracking through the field. So that means the ground's not super wet, as I said a second ago. It's just also not quite dry enough for ideal tillage. The longer the sun stays out, the better it's going to look. I backed it out of the ground 0.2 of an inch. It appears that was enough to have a positive impact, and we're still covering our tracks in behind. It's not that far off. It's not like I'm being outlandish here with trying this. It's probably a little early. We'll just work it and kind of see how we go. There's no mud on the tires and we're running 4 to 5% slip. Typically on this tractor I see 3 to 6 depending on the conditions. There's 6. We're also coming into a spot that is a little bit wet here. It's a draw out through the field. We're close. The primary objective of this, in terms of getting some planting done today, is to open the soil up, aerate it a little bit, and maybe get it a tad bit drier and a little bit more smooth. And then we plant soybeans this afternoon. We're not going to quite get the warm temperatures we need to really make this work nicely and dry up naturally on its own. So we're kind of helping Mother Nature. That could be both good or bad depending on how the weather unfolds over the next 2 weeks, and that's just one of the constant gambles you deal with farming. You never know what the ideal move is going to be until after you've made the move and see the outcome of it. Last night at 2 a.m. we had some visitors at our house. Allie woke me up because Lucky, the golden retriever slash diligent guard dog, had been barking for 20 minutes. I went downstairs to check what was going on, and he was barking towards the chicken coop, so I got my flashlight, and right there to the southeast of the chicken coop, still in the field, not quite in the yard, there was 2 coyotes just sitting. I don't know if they smelled the chickens or the black cat or the dogs. I couldn't tell you what their motivation was, but they scurried pretty quickly when the bang of a deterring weapon went off. Hypothetically, I guess. I don't know the legality of that. They were definitely coming for our chickens, and those are sacred creatures in our flock. Gotta defend them. Surprisingly, I don't see a lot of coyote activity, and I've got security cameras. I never see them in the yard, yet they ventured from somewhere around because of an opportunity for a snack. As any good pet owner should, I rewarded Lucky with some nice ham and told him next time he sees the coyotes to tell me again, and we'll get them taken care of. Trying another field right now just to kind of see how our selection looks. They are all super close. It's just a matter of if we decide to go ahead and work on, let the sun and the heat dry them out a little bit and plant them, or just forget about them entirely. Both options are tempting. This actually looks beautiful. I'm starting to get some bad thoughts in my head about going to get the bean planter. I'll try to be short-winded. I'm obviously gung-ho on planting beans early, especially if you have insurance protection on them, which we do right now. We are in the window by a few days of having full replant coverage on these March beans. With that in our back pocket, knowing soil conditions are good, and also knowing that we have great genetics to put in the ground with good seed treatments, I'm not really that concerned. Dad is a little more apprehensive on some of our lighter dirt farms because they tend to seal over with rain if they're not emerging in a quick amount of time. I can certainly understand his line of thinking. We did this last year. We got 3 inches of rain. A couple days later, just a hammering rain, and those were one of our best bean fields. So I think that risk is maybe a little bit overblown. Knowing Dad and his luck, he'll be right, because he's almost perpetually right on anything he says. He's been on this farm way longer than I have, and I respect his opinion. I just personally believe with the seedbed preparation, the insurance tools we have, and of course the genetics out here, the risk isn't as great as it might have been a handful of years ago. In my mind, cool weather is actually your friend on light soil because it slows down how fast the beans come up. It allows them to not rush out of the ground into a hard crust, maybe getting another rain on them, and gives them more opportunities to break out of the ground. We'll see what happens right now. We're kind of moving our chips to planting a couple hundred acres of beans. This looks good enough, and I've gotten approval from the boss to call Jeff in to run this field cultivator, and I'm gonna go scout and maybe even hook up the second tillage rig so we can get some ground worked and airing out. Regardless of what happens today, we can find solace in the fact that we left the field with a souvenir, as we normally do. At least we've got that going for us. This was the first thing I did. I pulled into the field over there and worked my way down, and then started working from west to east. This has probably had 20 or 25 minutes of air on it already. Look at how that's drying out on top, and we got a nice loose seed bed under there. That's what the field cultivator can do for you. The orders have come down from the top of the food chain down to me on the bottom. We are going to speed up the tillage process by adding the second tractor. Katie should be around somewhere. I'm gonna go ahead and get her tractor out, fuel it up, and then we'll hook her up. Might have to actually grease the tractor drive shaft, pivot joints, all that first. Not super important, yet it's also preventative maintenance, so what do? Skip it or just delay it till it rains again tomorrow. I'm getting excited again. This never ends well. Please be the one in the front. I think it is. The only difference between the two, without getting in the cab, is a power takeoff on the back, and this one doesn't have it. So this is the tractor. Dirty windows and all. This old dog's dirty. I don't know why it didn't get washed last fall. How's that working up over there, Jeff? Guess we're not gonna get an answer. So much for family. I won't even talk to you. There is dust flying. That's positive news. Other than clean windows, it's ready to hit the field. Let's grab a field cultivator. There's not a single thing wrong with it. Tires are aired up, nothing off of it, all the hardware is in place. It folded right the first time. That's a good start to this field cultivator. I guess start for this year. I think it'll be our 3rd year with it. I lose track of time. Pardon the interruption. I need to take a brief moment to talk to you all about something extremely controversial. It is something that I know many of you have a very strong opinion on. No, it's not Snap-on versus Matco or Gear Wrench Tools. You guessed it, it's none other than the important decision of what brand of work boots you're gonna wear. After taking a chance on the Brunt brand and these Marin work boots, I don't have any hard decisions to make. I'm picking up another one of these because they've been phenomenal and have held up well on the farm. I've noticed a significant number of hardworking individuals wearing these Brunt work boots. Your boots are the foundation of your success on the day. If your feet are uncomfortable, you're probably not going to have very much fun. Comfort is one of Brunt's biggest value propositions. They will always try to make the most comfortable work boots on the market. Of course, you have durability. That is a staple of any pair of boots or even shoes you put on your feet. If they're not going to last long, you're not going to be very happy. They're priced affordably, and you can rely on them throughout your heavy work days and know that you've invested in your feet and hopefully in the success of yourself and your family. I'm giving you my personal recommendation to give Brunt a shot if you're looking for something different to wear on your feet in the field, in the factory, in the yard. They do offer a free trial where you can wear the boots to work, and if you don't like them, you can send them back for a full refund with shipping covered both ways. There is no risk to trying these out, and again, I highly recommend that you go ahead and pick yourself up a pair of Brunt work boots next time you're in the market. In addition to the free trial, they are offering $10 off on your first order if you go to bruntworkwear.com/ATF10 or use code ATF10 at checkout. That'll get you $10 off a pair of work boots that should last you a long time. I'm grateful for Brunt protecting my feet and making sure I'm comfortable all day, and for sponsoring today's video. Now back to the action. Jeff finished that first field, stopped and grabbed a quick bite to eat for lunch, courtesy of Chris, and now we're gearing up to go plant said field once our beans get here. Bruce and Wes, our Pioneer dealers, were kind enough on this occasion to actually bring the beans down to us. We're capable of doing it ourselves. I prefer it that way, yet I was overruled by the boss man, and we're just waiting on them to bring these fancy Pioneer 31Z03s. That's what we've been waiting on for these fields. We're gonna put some in the ground. We are not that far away from April. We have the replant insurance protection. I know it seems silly to keep mentioning it, except for it's very important for your considerations. Those beans we planted 2 weeks ago, we don't want them to come out of the ground, because if they come out and freeze, we're basically caught with our pants down. These beans, we don't want them to come out and freeze. That's never the goal. We're not relying on insurance. Insurance is a big part in the risk analysis of any of the decisions on the farm. Since we're close to April, we've got okay weather in the forecast. I'm gonna start by backing the planter off a half a notch from where I planted those earlier beans at. I don't know if this will shallow us up 1/8 of an inch. I don't even actually know the measurements. I just adjust them and then check once I start planting where we're at. I'm not afraid to be a little higher up, because every day that we get by is a slightly less risk of a frost, and I think these will still take some time to come up. Jeff is headed about 6 miles north, just northwest of our Pioneer dealer's place actually. Bruce also farms, and he was considering planting some beans today. We've got a field up by him that we may try to work and maybe plant today. It'll be the same bean, these Pioneer 31Z03s. I'm excited to try to get some more in before March. At this point, the forecast looks like the first week of April at the earliest, with the rains moving in. We've already bought the replant insurance, so we might as well try to plant them. I don't think that this is a losing proposition. It's not an insurance play by any means. There's just protection there on the back end if they don't come up. Ultimately, we're trying to maximize the growing season, get the most amount of vegetative growth from our soybeans, hopefully have more nodes, more pods come harvest, and as long as Mother Nature cooperates, these should be some of our best beans. At the very least, they shouldn't be our worst. That's kind of the game plan here. Katie's AWOL on us this morning, so Dad's gonna go do some tillage. He doesn't have anything else to do, I don't think, so it might keep him occupied and not going crazy. You might need to pull your basket up, Dad. Or pick the whole field cultivator up, one of the two. One thing I've noticed about Dad when it comes to operating equipment, I don't think he's a big fan of running planters, especially not this bean planter for some reason. He enjoys a good combine, maybe a tillage tractor, just not planting. I know some people who love to do everything. Some farmers don't have a single thing they enjoy doing. They just do it out of necessity. Everyone's different. Without a doubt, my favorite is either running a field cultivator in a nice flat field or spraying in a really big field, like a 250 acre field, because you're just getting so much done, especially if you have roadside access to load every time you need to. Productivity is what I enjoy. Here comes our Pioneer 31Z03s. I'll probably mostly just watch. When they bring their seed tender, I stay out of the way. This is service right here. Time for round two. Let's go. Z01 Z03 enlist beans going in. Pretty confident in my settings, so I'm just going to check it when I get to the other end. We're just about 3/4 of a mile west of the main farm. Really productive soil, usually grows good corn except for last year. Got caught up in that April planted corn that didn't catch timely rains. The soybeans don't ever really yield exceptionally, maybe 70 bushels out here. I think we have some drainage issues that need addressed with some subsurface tile. That's not a conversation for today though. It's not perfectly dry. You can see the moisture in the trenches. Just want to verify that we're kind of in that 1.5 inch, maybe 1.75 inch range. That right there is about, 1.5 inch maybe. Some of these aren't as deep as I'd like them to be. Either I need to go deeper or I need to slow down a little bit. That one's about 1.5 inches. I think I'm just going to leave this alone, possibly just slow down a little bit to make sure we're getting good ground contact. The rain in the forecast will level these trenches out a little bit and probably put the beans deeper in the ground than they are right now. We'll leave her be, see what happens. Jeff, do you copy? Maybe he'll answer this time.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do those corn stalks look up there?
Good.
About the same as this down here?
No, better.
That's a good sign. Sounds like we got another field beans to plant after we finish this one, which will take another hour and 15 minutes. Let's pin it at that. As is tradition when we're planting in a big field, I did bring the drone to fly. I did not have the foresight to charge the battery, so the footage may be short-lived, and the sun has hardly been out at all. So we'll see how this looks. Gonna take it up and see what God sees. I've been sitting in the cab pondering my life choices and how I ended up in this soybean field today. I received a very informative email from the Pioneer agronomist. It wasn't specifically sent to me. He sends it out to all their dealers and customers that take the time to read them. A good agronomist like Paul Yoder from Pioneer is really hard to come by. I mean, he's phenomenal, offers a lot of real-world insights and agronomic tools to work with. He showed some really good data. I'll share some of it that indicated the statistical average last frost in Coles County, where I am, is the 18th of April. That is roughly 3 weeks away from today. With these beans being deeper in the ground, not a tremendous amount of warm weather in the next few days, that should be around our emergence date, although I can't guarantee anything. He covered so many interesting topics and useful tips in the email that I can't even begin to ramble on about them all. There's a lot of considerations to make, a lot of risk to reward here. Such is farming. One of the key takeaways I noticed from his information, other than the last predicted or average frost date here, is the yield curve of planting soybeans. To summarize it, and to quote an acquaintance, Kyle Coffey, who's in the northeastern side of the county, March planted soybeans always have the potential to be your best. They're probably not going to be your worst unless they get frosted off. The sweet spot is kind of in early to mid-April if you can get in the field. That's really where the gamble of getting in the field here in March comes into play, because if we get rained out all the way through into May, you've most likely missed the highest chance at yields. Are the March beans going to be the best? Not necessarily. The odds are in their favor, though. They should be able to compete with a March to April planted bean. There's just never any guarantee that we're going to get 3 weeks of dry weather to plant in April. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. I think that's Katie to our east. She works some stubble up north of town that was getting a little weedy, and she's working a little bit of this field east of me, also soybean stubble that's getting weedy. We have a handful of fields that we didn't spray because we thought we wouldn't need to, yet the winter annuals are getting ahead of us even on those. It's another prime example of why we need to spray our soybean stubble in the fall. We're always on our heels dealing with it, whether it be spraying spring burn down or even trying to do tillage. We're not winning this fight. That's all we got left. That little strip. We're not going to run out of beans, I hope. We're going to move to the next field. See the strip right there. Not very much. Maybe 11 20-inch rows, 12 20-inch rows. Making way for Jeff in the big tractor. Sometimes it's easier just to stop in advance, get off the road as far as you can when you have an opportunity, and make everyone's life easier. Whenever it's appropriate, I would do this for any equipment, not just a family member. Everything's better and smoother when you reduce the risk of collision. Which is ironic to say, because about 3 miles ago, I about smoked 3 deer that crossed the road right in front of me when I was doing 32 mile an hour. Just crossed Route 16. We are officially in God's country. This is where all the good dirt is. These 31 Z03s that we planted on the last field and are also going to plant on this next field are in one of those tanks right there at our Pioneer dealers. Actually just got them this morning, so that's convenient timing. Wes is going to give us some first-class service again and bring us the beans to the fields. Hard to complain about that. If there were a lot of people planting right now, which there are only a handful or even a small batch, I don't think we'd have that luxury. When it's just a few people, he's nice enough to throw that in on occasion. I personally feel kind of bad taking advantage of it, but it is what it is. We planted the end rows and then Wes filled the rest, and time to finish this field. That makes it sound like there's not much left to do here. That couldn't be farther from the truth. There's probably 80% of the farm left to plant, but it should all fit on the tank. So we're gonna finish her up. It appears that everyone's in home besides me. A lot of activity on the map. Now we're up here to the north running, so progress is being made. Oh yes, time flies when you're having fun. Allie and the boys came by for a little bit. Our cab's getting a little overcrowded. And for those of you who don't know, we are expecting another little boy due in the first week of September, I believe, which is poor timing to plant these beans because a March planted 3-1 bean will probably cut the first week of September if everything goes to plan. We're assuming these beans are going to survive. I think the likelihood of them doing so is high. Just hopefully we are cut them or not cut them yet when the baby arrives, because I think I'm probably going to have to take work off on that day or that few days. Quick restroom break and then we're headed home for the evening. Rain coming tomorrow. The exit lighting button on the stairs is actually pretty handy when you don't have the lights on in the shed. I'm going to close the barn up and run home. It's supposed to rain in the morning, so I'll just check in with you tomorrow. Another day, another dollar, or 50 cents after inflation. The rain isn't here yet. I believe noon to 1 o'clock there's a chance of storms, and we're pretty much greeted with 10 days of adverse weather. This morning's update of the Ag Weather website has taken an interesting twist. Two of the models have a 10-day precipitation forecast that are not too bad, 1 inch to 2 inches. And then this top model has a 10-day forecast of 4.5 inches, which really creates a lot of questions and concerns. So we're just gonna go ahead and move along. As I've talked about numerous times in the last 2 years, we're starting to run into some weed problems on our soybean stubble. And with rain in the forecast, I've sprayed 60% of our ground going into stubble with a burn down. The rest we were just trying to wait and hopefully just hit it once with the field cultivator. If we get pushed back another 10 to 14 days with moisture and too wet of ground conditions, these seemingly innocent weeds will literally be a disaster. And I know the simple solution is to go ahead and spray everything in the fall. You don't need to tell me that. It is my boss and dad, Marty, who keeps delaying the inevitable of just making the decision to spend a little bit of money in the fall for peace of mind and controlling these weeds, as opposed to having to run around like a chicken with your head cut off and spray fields and work fields early, which we're about to do just to stay ahead of this mess. And it's not like it's a one-year issue. We've been kind of behind on this for decades. If we get pushed back into May, like we do sometimes, last year's a great example, it's a disaster to deal with these weeds, so we need to do something to stay ahead. Jeff's gonna run this morning and work some of those problematic fields. I was just getting it started and warming up while he gets ready. Jeff is over there to the west. You probably can't see him. He's folding up and crossing a bridge. We're here working some soybean stubble that was worked previously last fall with the vertical till. Just not holding, and it's going to get away from us. I'm mostly seeing henbit. This purplish greenish weed is henbit. It's a winter annual. Probably some chickweed too. That's a little kind of a lighter shade of green, kind of by that old shed. It's not huge now. If we get the rains they're calling for, it won't even go through the field cultivators in another couple of weeks. Look at this beautiful dirt. Very productive, just a little bit wet. It needs some more tile. And I actually think I saw a tile hole in here somewhere that I should flag. Oh, there's one. Suck hole or something. Oh, there's another one. That's definitely a tile hole. Look at that. It's all fun and games in the field cultivator, working right over the tile holes until you're spraying corn fungicide at 18 miles an hour with your seatbelt on, praying to the good Lord that you don't hit one of them. Jeff, if you're done on Ewings, come over here to the south edge of Campbell's and just start working your way north.
Okay.
Katie and I are going to be switching out here in a minute, so it'll be you and her. I think once you get this done, assuming it's not raining by then, I'd go ahead and work the stalks on Campbell's at least. I haven't given many shout outs to Midland Radio lately. If you're in the market for a great communication system, simple, cost effective, and relatively seamless, check out Midland's GMRS radio lineups. We have them in about every piece of equipment on the farm other than our pickup trucks. I've got one at home. It's just so convenient to be able to talk to each other quickly, not have to rely on cell phones. That can be a little cumbersome and slow. I like having them. I think it's made our operation smoother and safer. Check out Midland. I got a link in my description in every video. I genuinely do enjoy their radio, so I think it's an option to check out. There's a lot of different options. I'm not going to say one's better than others. Midland's just a viable one of those. Katie's taking over. Oh, it's a shame that it's damp and cold outside. Still too early to plant corn. If it weren't all of those things that I just mentioned, you'd be on this like flies on feces. This is a beautiful seed bed. It's never too early though to take care of these little rascals. There's a henbit. There's a henbit. Hopefully the rain coming doesn't reroot them. That'd be kind of counterproductive. I'm personally convinced, and I could be wrong, I love thoughts and comments in the video, that farming with today's weed pressure has to be a combination of either tillage or herbicide usage. If you want to maximize profitability, I think everyone does, even if some people aren't honest about it, you have to make a choice between, am I going to do more tillage, am I going to use more chemicals, or am I going to find a hybrid of the two? I can certainly understand the argument of not wanting to use a lot of chemicals. I can't really disagree with that. Yet the only viable option that maintains profitability on the other side is tillage. That's really what I think is the dirty little secret of organic farming. Yes, they're not using synthetic chemicals and fertilizers, but they are replacing the chemicals in particular with heavy tillage. I've seen videos of guys running moldboard plows, doing multiple field cultivator classes, they're row crop cultivating multiple times a year. I'm not judging them for that either. It's what you got to do to get the weeds down. There's just no perfect solution, and the chemicals, minus any potential long-term health effects that we're not properly accounting for, are actually very efficient. Katie's about halfway done here. I think Jeff is finished up. He's working his way out of that other field and he's going to join. They're going to try to at least finish this. There's some rain moving in within the next 30 minutes to an hour. If it rains, we're going to be done. If not, they're going to jump across and work some corn stalks just to get ahead of the storms and the weather. In case anyone was wondering what that old shed, or maybe this is a barn, looks like on the inside, it's really started to deteriorate a lot in the last 4 years. I remember a decade ago, these holes weren't in the roof. There's a lean-to on the side. It's collapsed. It's kind of sad and bittersweet because you know that this is a monument of a time long gone. Have we really taken care of it? No. We didn't even technically own this property until 12 years ago, so we've always been around it, just up the hill right there. With the holes in the roof, I don't actually know how long it's going to survive. Eventually we're going to get a strong wind or something. It's going to catch a draft through here and at least the top's going to be gone. They build the foundations here pretty sturdy. The best thing that could happen to this would be it got struck by lightning and just burned in the middle of the night. It'll be gone one of these days and we'll have to pick her up. The fascinating part is just the heritage of barns like this. I know you guys have seen them all around. Looking at the design of them, knowing it was probably erected entirely by hand, or at least with a little bit of mechanical assistance, maybe some pulleys. I don't know how they put this up. They're obviously well built to have probably been erect for at least 100 years. And at the end of the day, the legacy of this barn, and I'm not familiar with the family who lived here, this would have been essential to their survival, to feeding their family, and now it's just kind of a token of a time long gone. Amazing, really. Uh-oh, starting to sprinkle. They're gonna be lucky just to get this field finished. Before the field cultivator erases my research here, I wanted to show you this spot. Last fall, I came out here with a backpack sprayer with an eyeballed mixing of dicamba and Roundup, and I walked this right here, so I was also the rate controller. I don't know that I applied enough, and sprayed this. This has not had any tillage on it compared to this spot right here. This is just harvested and sprayed. You can tell that there is some weed pressure coming in here, so my mixture probably needed a better residual in it with it. Both options, the hand sprayed or the tillage, are better than where I assume Jeff did not run the vertical till. This is nothing. So that's what it looks like if you do nothing. This is what it looks like if you work it. So there's a little bit of weeds coming up, and then where it was sprayed, it also looks better. I think this is where we need to be. We either need to be spraying in the fall or working, and based on the way the majority of the field looks, spraying is probably going to be the most cost-effective and viable option, assuming the guy mixing it uses the proper chemistries at the proper rates. I would imagine this would be cleaner if we had a Syncor, Valor, any of the things, Basis Blend, Autumn Super, Simazine, all these different products people use for fall residuals. That would be better than what we're doing right now, trying to beat a rain with tillage because we just didn't control the field to start with. I guess it could be worse. We didn't work it at all and it all looked like this. I don't really have anything better to do, so I'm just standing here watching Katie and Jeff run. Nice cold shower coming across. It looks like it may fizzle out a little bit or stay to our south. So we're gonna plan on finishing this field. I think that's not gonna be an issue. And then move over to these corn stalks behind us. If it looks like it's gonna get questionable at all, if we're gonna make a mess, we're just gonna fold up and leave. There's no reason to make a mess this early. We're just trying to kind of get ahead of things, and these corn stalks over there, I'll show you them in a second, are also getting kind of weedy. Get out of the way, because Katie will literally run me over. She drives just like Dad. You're a liability if you're in her way. I always thought it was Katie tearing out the lanes, but turns out it was Jeff. I just watched him do it. Jeff, you make the call if you think it gets too wet at any point in time. There's no reason to make a mess.
Alright.
Field cultivators are still running. I came to check on that first field of beans I planted 2 weeks ago, and I saw this little treasure. I can only imagine what this connector came out of. Head cart, trailer of some kind, seed tender. Looks like it might be salvageable. The tillage tractors are back in. The rain amounted to virtually nothing, just enough to get the roads wet, yet we don't know what other kind of tillage to do with the rains coming. The situation is ever evolving, as it always seems to be. The new field that Katie and I acquired last fall, kind of late, is a lighter soil. We did tillage on it, and there's not a lot of broadleaf pressure. However, there are a lot of grasses coming up in 2 of the fields. Grasses can be just as problematic, if not more of an issue, than broadleafs if those are the select weeds you struggle with. This same field has no nitrogen on it. We don't have any fall anhydrous. It's planned to get some 32% UAN and ATS, which is ammonium thiosulfate, up front. I've altered our herbicide plan a little bit. We're gonna come out there, go ahead and spray the 32 and the ATS. It will be accompanied by Roundup 2,4-D and Zidua SC. We'll be right around 20 gallons an acre, so I switched to the size 8 AIXR T-Jets. Those are an 8 orifice, flat fan, air inducted. Probably a little oversized for this, but I don't mind the big droplets, especially with a little bit of a breeze. We had been using these size 5 greenleaf twin dual asymmetric fans, good for coverage, also air inducted. I just think these flat fans are a better choice for putting a pre down like this 32 with the burn down with the Zidua. Jeff is due back, so we probably ought to get down to the field ahead of him. Some of you familiar with the farming game know I'm a big supporter of Syngenta's products. You may be scratching your head wondering why I'm running Zidua up front as opposed to an Acuron, a Lexar, a Storin, any of those premium Syngenta products. I'll be completely honest with you. The only reason I'm not running one of those products, other than some of them being a tiny bit on the expensive side, is that Zidua is one of those pre's that is very effective. It's priced competitively, and most importantly to me, I don't have to clean my sprayer out. I can spray this, not have to worry about carryover in the booms or anything of that sort. Go back to spraying our pre's on soybeans or wherever I want to, because Zidua SC goes both ways. If you are truly looking for the best approach right now, and we're not being limited by laziness or money, Acuron or Storin would be the best choices. Split them up into a 2-pass, run a quart of Acuron, run maybe a quart of Storin, come back post with 2 quarts of Acuron, or I think 1.4 quarts of Storin. That is the gold standard program. We just don't always have gold standard budgets here. Jeff's right behind me. Perfect timing. Look at all of this grass. Ah. The nice aspect is getting to watch the beautiful pattern of a T-Jet AIXR. Gotta love that air inducted flat fan. This looks nice from the cab. I'm almost done with the last of the 3 fields. I started on the corn stalks across the road here that we're going corn on corn with. They were a little bit more wet, to say the least, than the stubble fields are. The only positive there is that they have less weeds. The corn on corn's a little bit of a concern with tying up the nitrogen and the sulfur, so hopefully we have enough nutrients out there to get the corn off to a quick start here in another couple weeks if we get the opportunity to plant. My only concern out here is that the nitrogen load that is carrying my burn down of Roundup and 2,4-D might burn the grass enough that it actually keeps the Roundup from working. I guess even if the 32% UAN burns the heck out of the grass, that's still better than nothing. I often find myself wishing I had an ExactApply equipped sprayer that was a lot more accurate on spraying, because I never know what I'm going to get based on the speed I'm running, the pressure I'm putting out, the gallons per acre, the products I'm putting through. I usually don't run short, but sometimes I have too much. Literally, as I was coming through the end here and my section control shut off, my pump ran dry. You can't ask for better performance like that. I'm not going to pretend like that happens every time, because most of the time I usually have more issues than successes when it comes to timing like that. So don't think I'm bragging, just got lucky this time. There's a field that we sprayed maybe 2 weeks ago now with 2,4-D and Roundup. That's what you love to see. Winter annuals turning some shade of yellow, brownish, orange. That's the goal. The only thing better is just to stop them in the fall. Oh man, I've really managed to drag this video on. Sometimes having 2 days in one's not that great. I'm gonna wait and see what the rain does tomorrow. It's gonna influence our plans moving forward. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report. Appreciate those of you who've tuned into the video, stuck around this long, even if you're asleep. Doesn't matter to me. As always, everyone, I'll see you in the next one. I sure hope you're having a great day. Peace!